Imagine this. You are standing at the edge of a dense forest, the trees whispering in the wind as the light begins to fade. It is peaceful, serene, almost inviting. But deep within these woods lies a dark secret, one that has been haunting the people of North Carolina for centuries. From the shadows of the Smoky Mountains to the eerie glow above Brown Mountain, something watches, something waits, and it is not what you think. These are not your typical urban legends or spooky tales around a campfire. These are real stories, unsolved disappearances, strange phenomena, and forces that seem to defy the laws of nature. And tonight, you are going to explore them. But be warned, after this video, you might never look at North Carolina the same way again. So lock your doors, grab your headphones, and pull that blanket tight. The journey into the unknown begins now. 1. The disappearance of Dennis Martin, vanishing without a trace. It was a Father's Day weekend in June of 1969 when a family outing in the Smoky Mountains became one of the most haunting mysteries in American history. Dennis Martin, a 6-year-old boy, vanished from the face of the earth without a single trace, in broad daylight, surrounded by experienced hikers. The Martin family had traveled from Knoxville to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park for their annual camping trip. It was supposed to be like any other weekend of hiking, exploring, and making memories. But this trip would be different. This trip would end with a hole in the forest, a spot in the landscape where time itself seemed to stop, and a young boy was lost to it forever. Dennis and his brother were playing near the edge of a high-altitude meadow called Spencefield. It was a game they played every year, sneaking up on their parents and trying to scare them. Dennis, being the smallest, took the far side of the trail, slipping behind a tree to sneak up on the adults, and then he disappeared. The family immediately split up, frantically calling out his name. Minutes stretched into hours. No sound, no sign, no footprints, just silence. When they alerted the rangers, the search began immediately. But in the eerie stillness of the forest, there was no sign of Dennis anywhere. The search party grew, first with rangers, then volunteers, and soon the U.S. Army Green Berets were called in. For days, they scoured every inch of the field and forest. They found nothing. No broken branches, no torn clothing, no footprints in the dirt. A child had vanished into thin air in full daylight in a field surrounded by people. But it gets stranger. On the same day that Dennis disappeared, in a completely different part of the park, another family reported something equally strange. A father and son were hiking near Rowan's Creek when they spotted something out of the ordinary. Something tall, shaggy, moving quickly through the trees, carrying something over its shoulder. The father was certain it was a man. And what he carried looked like a child, but when the authorities investigated, they dismissed the report, leaving it as an unexplained anomaly. Weeks went by. More than 1,400 volunteers, helicopters, bloodhounds, and grid searches filled the park. But Dennis Martin was gone, and there was no explanation. As the Green Berets pulled out and the search was called off, a strange silence fell over the case. The FBI's involvement ceased, and even the Rangers stopped talking about it. Officially, the case remains open, but the silence surrounding it only deepens the mystery. And then there is this chilling detail. One ranger who worked on the search described a strange feeling while in the woods that day, an overwhelming sense that something was watching, something out of place. The air itself seemed to change. They were not alone in those woods, and whatever was there did not want to be found. Over the years, theories have popped up. Some believe Dennis may have fallen into a crevice or cave. Others say it was a wild animal, but the most unsettling theory involves something far darker, something ancient that moves through the forest, taking what it wants when it is ready. And to this day, Dennis's name remains on missing persons reports, with no answers to explain his disappearance. But some hikers who camp near Spence Field still hear something at night when the fog rolls in footsteps. Not the loud, rushing steps of a person, but the soft, small footsteps of a child. Some say it is Dennis, still searching for a way back. Others wonder if something else never left. 2. The Devil's Tramping Ground, where nature defies itself. Deep in the heart of North Carolina, there is a place that even nature seems to fear, known as the Devil's Tramping Ground. This eerie clearing in the woods near Siler City is a perfect circle where nothing grows and nothing stays the same. No grass, no moss, No weeds, just barren earth that seems to reject life. But the most disturbing part, something or someone seems to walk in that circle when no one is looking. Local legend has it that this is where the devil himself paces, marking his ground in silence, though some skeptics dismiss it as a simple quirk of nature. Still, the mystery only deepens with every passing year. Strange phenomena occur in and around the circle, drawing curious visitors from all over, and yet no one seems to be able to explain it. The circle is no large patch of dirt. It is just a 40-foot wide barren area surrounded by thick trees and overgrown plants. But when you stand on the edge, you can feel the weight of something unexplainable pressing down on the soil beneath your feet. The air itself feels different. It is like walking on a patch of land where the natural laws of life and death are suspended. Animals, even dogs, won't go near it. Birds steer clear, and hunters have reported that their trail cameras malfunction when aimed directly at the spot. For decades, visitors have dared to camp near the circle, hoping to unravel its mystery. But many have walked away with more questions than answers. In 2003, a group of campers from Chapel Hill set out to document the strange happenings they had heard about. They placed rocks in the middle of the circle as an experiment and set up audio recorders to capture whatever might occur. What they recorded was not like anything they expected. The audio picked up not a single sound of wildlife or insects, not even the rustling of leaves in the wind. The air was eerily still. Then, faintly, they heard something footsteps, soft and deliberate, like someone pacing in the middle of the circle. But when they returned the next morning, the rocks were outside the circle and their sleeping bags had been pushed back toward the tree line. The recorder's batteries were drained, but no new audio had been recorded. One local man, hoping to test the circle's strange properties, placed a pair of his father's military boots at the center of the barren spot. The next day, they were found 30 feet away, turned inward, soaked in dew, as if someone had stepped out of them. It seemed impossible. The boots had been placed securely in the circle the night before. Skeptics claim it was salt or animal, alerting interference, but that does not explain the perfectly round shape of the circle or the eerie phenomena people continue to experience there. But there are some who believe the circle holds a more sinister secret. Some think it is an ancient burial site, a place where rituals were once performed, a doorway to another world, perhaps even a portal to a realm of darkness. Others suggest it could be a natural vent, a place where the earth releases pressure from deep below the surface. And then there are those who think that the circle is simply a place where the rules of life pause, where life does not grow, but something else takes its place. As strange as it sounds, people who camp near the Devil's Tramping Ground have reported a sensation of being watched. Some wake up facing away from the circle, no matter how they fell asleep. Others claim to have experienced bizarre dreams, visions of pacing in circles, unable to look back, as if something was following them but never allowed them to turn around. But here's the most unsettling part of the story. Despite all the modern investigations, nothing seems to explain why the circle remains bare, year after year. Why does nothing live there? Why does the land around it grow thick with plants, while the circle stays empty, no matter what season it is? The Devil's Tramping Ground is still there, unchanged, still quiet, and still empty. No answers, only more questions. And to this day, the locals avoid it, advising travelers to keep their distance because something, they say, might just be waiting for you to step into the circle. But if you do, you might not leave the same. 3. The hidden bunker beneath Fontana Lake, the door that no one can find again. From the eerily silent woods to the depths of North Carolina's most mysterious lake, there is another secret that refuses to stay buried. Fontana Lake, the deepest in the state, was formed in the 1940s as part of a hydroelectric project, but beneath its dark waters lies a mystery that has baffled locals for decades. A hidden bunker, one that has been seen but never found. Again. Fontana Lake stretches for miles, surrounded by fog, steep cliffs, and dense forests. The lake itself was created by flooding entire towns, forcing families to abandon their homes, churches, and graveyards. But some say the water did not swallow everything. Beneath the surface, there is a structure, perhaps military, perhaps secret, that has never been confirmed by any official record. The lake, which was once just a place of quiet reflection, now holds whispers of something much darker beneath its surface. In the 1970s, rumors began circulating about strange sightings near the north side of the lake. Fishermen and hikers reported seeing a concrete structure half submerged in the water. Some even claimed to have seen a large metal door set into the hillside, but no one could ever confirm its existence. Over time, the sightings stopped, and the structure disappeared from view. But the mystery did not end there. In 1982, a group of campers claimed they found a steel hatch set into the ground. It was rusted, with a faint hum coming from beneath the earth. The hatch was part of a larger structure that seemed to be hidden, perhaps intentionally. They returned the next day with park rangers to show them what they had found, but when they retraced their steps, the hatch was gone. The area was exactly as it had been before, but there was no sign of the hatch, no trace of what they had seen the day before. In 1997, a man named Walter M., a contractor who worked for the Tennessee Valley Authority TVA, claimed to have seen blueprints for low-access service points that were supposed to be buried beneath the lake before it was flooded. When asked if the structures were military in nature, he smiled cryptically and said, "They had no plumbing, but they had power. But after that." He stopped talking. Some believe this hidden structure was part of a Cold War communications hub, placed there to remain secret from the public. Others suggest it might have been a site for biological testing, intended to be erased when the dam flooded the valley. Whatever its true purpose, no one has been able to locate it again. Theories abound, but none can be proven. Official records do not acknowledge the existence of the structure, and divers who have searched the lake's depths have never found it. Still, hikers continue to report strange sightings near the lake's shore, rectangular indentations in the earth that seem too perfect to be natural. In some cases, they have seen old concrete slabs partially submerged in the lake, only to disappear again when the water level rises. The most unsettling part of the mystery came in 1953 when a TVA document was discovered. It read, "Hatch 3B inactive. Do not list on public index. Status, unreachable, covered. No coordinates, no floor plan." In other words, it was deliberately erased from any official record, with only 5 cryptic words remaining. Some say the door leads to a Cold War relic that was never meant to be found. Others believe it is a remnant of something darker hidden beneath the water's surface for a reason no one is meant to understand. But no matter what the truth is, one thing is certain: Fontana Lake still holds its secrets, and it will take more than a diver or a hiker to unlock them. The woman waiting on Rand Mountain, a silent watcher in the mist. There are places in the world where the wind whispers secrets, where the trees seem to breathe, and the air itself holds the weight of history. Rand Mountain, straddling the border between North Carolina and Tennessee, is one such place. Towering ridges, vast meadows, and long open views make it seem like the perfect destination for a peaceful hike. But there is a presence here, one that makes even the most seasoned hikers pause and feel a chill that has nothing to do with the temperature. Over the years, there have been countless reports of a woman dressed in white or pale blue standing quietly at the edge of the Appalachian Trail near the Carver's Gap overlook. What makes these reports so unsettling is not just the fact that people see her. It is that no one ever sees her move. She does not walk, does not approach hikers, and she never speaks. She simply stands, staring out toward the east, toward the rising sun, as if waiting for something. But no one knows what that something might be. The earliest known sighting dates back to 1973. A lone hiker was trekking the Appalachian Trail when he passed a woman standing near a rock wall. He greeted her, but she did not respond. When he turned back to look, she had vanished. No footsteps, no sound, just an empty trail where she had been. Since then, numerous hikers have reported similar encounters. In 1987, a group of college students camping near the ridge woke up in the early hours of the morning to see the woman standing in the distance. They yelled to her, but she remained unmoved. One of the students grabbed a flashlight and aimed it at her, and in that instant she vanished. Just like the others, the grass where she stood was flattened, but there were no footprints left behind. But what is even more strange is that this is not just a visual encounter. Some hikers who have rested on Rand Mountain have heard the woman humming softly behind them. One backpacker, resting on a stone bench near Ron High Bluff, reported hearing the sound of humming just behind his shoulder. He turned, expecting to see someone, but found no one there. He walked a short distance forward, and the humming began again, always right behind him. More recent reports describe the same chilling encounters. A solo hiker in 2005 posted an online account detailing how he saw the woman in the early morning hours. She was sitting on a log beside the trail, gazing at the horizon. When he attempted to speak to her, she did not respond. He left the area without finishing his hike, posting later that he had felt a strange compulsion to leave, like he was not supposed to be there. The strangest part of these sightings is that no one has ever seen the woman move. She does not approach hikers, does not walk the trail, and does not engage in any way. She simply exists there, unblinking, unflinching, and forever waiting. Some believe she is a ghost, the spirit of a woman who perished on the mountain, lost in the fog, struck by lightning, or perhaps wandering the ridgelines in search of something she can never find. Others, however, think there is more to her than a mere specter. A park ranger who has worked the area for over 20 years shared a chilling detail with a reporter. "We get lost hikers, falls, even bears. But the ones who talk about her, they always say the same thing. She saw me before I saw her." What does it mean when people describe her this way? Why does she seem to know they are coming before they see her? And why is she always looking toward the east? As if waiting for something that never arrives. One of the most haunting legends passed down by local guides is that if you hike the ridge near Carver's Gap at the break of dawn, you might see her too. But here's the catch. If you look away and then look back, she will be closer. She won't chase you. She won't approach you. She will simply be closer, standing silently, watching you as you try to walk past. Perhaps she is waiting for someone who has long since passed. Or perhaps she is a presence tied to the land itself, watching over the ridgelines, unseen by all who do not know how to look. But one thing is certain, the woman on Rand Mountain is not merely a ghost. She is something older, something persistent, an unblinking sentinel on the border of North Carolina and Tennessee. 5. The Faceless Man of Linville Gorge, a silent observer in the shadows. Linville Gorge, often called the Grand Canyon of the East, is one of North Carolina's most breathtaking landscapes. The deep gorge, carved over centuries by the Linville River, is a place of rugged beauty and uncharted mystery. Here, hikers climb steep ridgelines, peer over jagged cliffs, and trek through dense, shadowy woods. But there is one part of Linville Gorge that has earned a chilling reputation, a place where the very air feels different, as if something ancient and unnatural is present. For decades, hikers have reported a strange phenomenon along the trails in the gorge, a tall, faceless figure that appears in the shadows, standing motionless among the rocks. No eyes, no mouth, no features, just smooth, blank skin where a face should be. The figure does not move, does not speak, and does not acknowledge anyone who sees it. But there is a palpable feeling of dread that accompanies its presence, as though the very essence of the gorge itself is watching. The first known report came in 1994 when a hiker was making his way along the Linville Falls Trail. He felt a strange weight in his chest, an unexplainable sense of dread, as though something was closing in on him. When he turned around, he saw the figure, a tall man standing motionless on a rock above the trail. The hiker tried to brush it off as a trick of the light, but when he looked down to check his footing and looked back up, the figure was gone. Since then, more hikers have encountered the Faceless Man in Linville Gorge. One woman, camping near Table Rock, reported hearing slow, deliberate footsteps around her tent in the middle of the night. When she unzipped the flap, she saw a figure standing just 5 feet away, its arms by its sides, unmoving. She shined her flashlight at its face, but there was nothing there, no eyes. No mouth, just smooth, pale skin. The figure vanished before her eyes, leaving her trembling in disbelief. What makes these encounters even more unnerving is that some hikers do not see the Faceless Man at all. Instead, they experience a strange, overwhelming sense of being watched. They feel as though something is studying them, scrutinizing their every move. But when they turn around, there is nothing there. The feeling persists long after they leave the area, lingering in the back of their minds. But the most chilling part, those who have encountered the Faceless Man often describe a physical sensation, a pressure in their chest, a dizzying weight, or a metallic taste in their mouth. It is as if the figure has the power to freeze them in place, not with fear, but with something much deeper, an instinct that refuses to allow them to move. Some theorists suggest that the faceless man could be a psychological phenomenon, a trick of the mind that manifests in the shadowy corners of the gorge. But there is a darker theory at play, one that is more chilling than anything the human mind can create. Some believe that the faceless man is something older, something not of this world, an entity tied to the very essence of Linville, Gorge. Perhaps he is a remnant from a time long past, a presence left behind after something ancient walked the gorge and never left. What is certain is that no one has ever seen the faceless man move. He is always still, always silent, and always watching. And as long as the trails of Linville Gorge remain, he will continue to stand, waiting for the next hiker to cross his path. 6. The Brown Mountain Lights, the silent watchers above the ridge. If you ever find yourself hiking through the wilderness of North Carolina, you may encounter a phenomenon that has mystified locals and scientists alike for over 800 years. Above the steep ridgelines of Brown Mountain, glowing orbs of light have been spotted floating in the night sky, shifting erratically and casting an eerie glow over the surrounding forest. But the strange part, they never make a sound. They do not blink or flash. They are silent, steady, and they do not behave like any natural light source. The Brown Mountain Lights have been reported for centuries, with the first known written record appearing in 1913. Fishermen near Morganton, North Carolina, filed a report with local authorities about mysterious lights that appeared over the ridge. But the authorities did not know what to make of it. They were puzzled, unable to explain the lights away. Over the years, locals have continued to see the lights sometimes hovering above the trees, other times darting rapidly across the landscape without any clear cause. Some believed it was the reflection of headlights from trains, but that theory was dismissed after it was found that the lights were reported long before trains even existed in the area. The lights have been seen in different colors, from pale blue to reddish white, often drifting silently across the mountain ridge, never blinking or flickering like a normal light. Sometimes they hover above the treetops, just above the ridgeline, drifting in mid-air for hours. Sometimes they move in patterns, only to vanish without a trace. People have followed them, trying to understand their behavior only for the lights to disappear at will, always just out of reach. Scientists have been baffled by these mysterious lights for decades. In the early 1920s, the U.S. Geological Survey conducted a full-scale investigation into the Brown Mountain Lights, but they were unable to provide any conclusive answers. Despite logging weather patterns, magnetic readings, and atmospheric data, they could find no consistent origin for the lights. They appeared erratically, without any clear trigger, and disappeared just as mysteriously as they came. Some have speculated that the lights are a natural phenomenon, like plasma or natural gas reacting to minerals in the soil. Others have suggested that the lights could be a kind of atmospheric reflection from distant towns or even the headlights of cars traveling down nearby roads. But there are major issues with these theories. If the lights were caused by cars or gas, they would be predictable, and they would not appear in the same places night after night for centuries. Moreover, the lights have been seen on cloudless, clear nights in areas far from any roads or towns, making it even harder to explain. Then, there is the strangest theory of all. Some believe the Brown Mountain Lights are not just natural phenomena. They might be something far more mysterious. Some local legends suggest that the lights could be the spirits of lost souls, perhaps those who perished on the mountain during a long-ago battle or tragic event. The Cherokee, who once inhabited the region, spoke of mysterious lights in the area, and their legends may hold a kernel of truth that modern science has yet to uncover. There is also an even darker possibility. The lights might not be natural at all. Some have speculated that they are signals, perhaps from something beneath the mountain, something that does not follow the rules of time and space as we understand them. Could they be a communication from an unknown source, an entity or force that is far beyond our comprehension? The most chilling reports come from people who claim to have gotten too close to the lights. In 1965, two campers near Wiseman's View spent almost an hour observing the lights from a distance. At first, the lights hovered in a triangular formation, but then they started to move down the mountain toward the trees. One of the campers, Rick, decided to grab a flashlight and shine it toward the lights. To his surprise, 2 of the lights blinked back at him in response, and then all 3 lights disappeared at once. It was not just the lights that had vanished. The feeling of something watching them disappeared as well. One photographer, in 2000, reported capturing a long exposure image of one of the glowing orbs in midair, only to later find that his camera's memory card had been completely wiped clean, the photos erased, and no other data saved. This eerie malfunction is something that has happened to several people who have tried to photograph the lights, leaving behind nothing but the unsettling sensation that they were never meant to capture the phenomenon in the first place. So what are the brown mountain lights? Are they some sort of natural phenomenon that science just has not figured out yet? Or are they something more profound, something that transcends the physical world and exists in a space we can't yet understand? One thing is certain. These lights have been a part of Brown Mountain for longer than most of us can imagine, and they are unlikely to stop appearing anytime soon. When the lights return, whether next week, next year, or years down the road, you will know it. The feeling in the air will change, the ground will feel different, and you will get the sense that you are standing in the presence of something far older than anything you can imagine. North Carolina is home to some of the most mysterious and unnerving locations in the United States. Whether it is the eerie disappearance of a young boy in the Smoky Mountains, the unsettling phenomenon of the Devil's Tramping Ground, or the inexplicable lights that hover above Brown Mountain, these strange occurrences remind us that there is still so much about the world that we do not understand, and the more we try to unravel the mysteries of these places, the more questions arise. What happened to Dennis Martin? Why does nothing grow in the Devil's Tramping Ground? What is the source of the Brown Mountain lights, and why do they seem to defy the laws of nature? The truth is, some mysteries may never have answers. They may exist beyond our comprehension, leaving us to wonder whether the world around us is as solid and predictable as we think. Or perhaps, the answers are hidden in plain sight, just waiting for the right person to discover them if they dare to look. What we do know is this: some places hold secrets, and some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved. The next time you walk through a forest, stand on the edge of a mountain, or look into the night sky, ask yourself, what if something is watching? What if you are not alone in this world? Because sometimes, the unknown is far more chilling than we can ever imagine.